Can you give some message to people in Belgrade?
To people in Belgrade, well, I think I can probably say on the behalf of the sisters that we would thank you very much for taking our monastery into the Serbian church under your protection, and that we are very happy to have the protection of the Serbian church, and we very much respect all of our Serbian bishops, and especially we respect Patriarch Pavle, and we know him, we've heard so much about him and know him to be such a holy man, and so we ask for everyone's prayers for our small monastery here, and in turn we always keep suffering Serbia in our prayers too.
O George the martyr, O George the victor, suffering you conquered, and in death you have been glorified, holding all of us value, than truth, O martyr George, spurning all earthly honor, you chose to stand beside the living Christ. O George the martyr, O George the victor.
Pre odlaska u ženski skit Svete Ksenije, vaš izveštač proveo je nekoliko dana u manastiru Svetog Germana Aljaskog i razgovarao sa igumanom jeromonahom Gerasimom. Ovaj razgovor je snimljen 10 kilometara od manastira, u stvari, u selu Platina, u manastirskoj kancelariji gde se nalazi nekoliko kompjutera, telefonskih linija i faks mašina. U ovom komunikacionom centru manastira prepodne dežura ili radi nekoliko monaha koji prevode knjige i bave se sličnim poslovima. A ovde ima i struje i tekuće vode za razliku od manastira na vrhu obližnje planine koji je van dometa čak i bilo koje mobilne telefonske mreže.
Well, what I remember when I first came to the monastery to visit back in 1980, and we heard there was a monastery there. In fact, someone told us that if we went to that monastery to visit, we would be chased away with guns. I never saw such a thing happen. We came to the monastery. This was 26, 27 years ago. And it was a hot, dusty road. It was the beginning of July. We arrived on the eve of the feast of the Nativity of St. John the Baptist. The monastery, of course, is there's dirt all over. It's clay. We don't have pavement. We don't have blacktop. We don't have cement. And in those days, we had an old wooden church. And there were very few gardens. The gardens were enclosed in a fence to keep them away from the deer. So you didn't see a lot of flowers around. Some of the buildings had cobwebs all over. And it was very different. I didn't grow up like that. It was very hot and dry. There was one place where you could pump water, and another place where there was a little faucet where you could wash your hands. And that was it. And of course there wasn't any indoor plumbing. And there was electricity only when the generator ran, but usually, as was the case for many years afterwards, the generator was usually broken. But nonetheless, I thought, this is how monks lived in the Egyptian desert. This is how monks lived on Mount Athos originally. This obviously was how monks lived in the far Russian north. And I didn't know too much about Serbia, so I couldn't really say, but I'm sure in the Middle Ages perhaps it was like that. I came back to the monastery again the next year and stayed. And now, of course, we have an office down here where we're recording this right now. But and of course we have a telephone here and some computers. In the monastery we don't have a telephone, and it's wonderful that during church services we don't hear a telephone ringing. In fact, if people bring cell telephones, they won't ring during the church services either. We don't have to tell people to turn their cell telephones off because there's no reception at the monastery. We're too far away. And we don't have electricity, except we have a generator that we can run to pump water, or to charge up some batteries, or to run a couple electrical tools. And we also have a couple of solar panels to provide solar energy for a few lights for some work. But since we don't print at the monastery anymore, all the printing is done outside of the monastery, then there's less need for the electricity. It's something that people in our day and age feel that it's impossible to live without.
When our Lord was baptized in the river Jordan, on that bright day before all the people, the heavens on high became wide open, and the angels drew near to the water. At once St. John was filled with fear.
Mesto Platina ima 60 stanovnika, mada mi otac Spajsije uz osmeh kaže da su to sigurno preterivanja. On smatra da u Platini živi manje ljudi i da će ih Manastir po broju stanovnika sigurno vrlo brzo nadmašiti. Sada u Manastiru živi 15 monaha, nekoliko iskušenika i uvek nekoliko gostiju.
And when our Lord rose up from it, a strange voice was heard from heaven.
Ova nešto duža zgrada ceo je, kako se kaže, downtown Platine. U njoj su jedna kafanica, jedna prodavnica i pošta.